So let's get back to Kenya, East Africa's largest financial market, positioning to become an Islamic finance hub by putting in place an Islamic regulatory framework within its third medium-term plan of 2018 to 2020. Chatting today, among other headlines within the Kenyan marketplace, is Mbithe Muema. Mbithe is the CEO of INFALLIBLE Group and a business show anchor on METROPOL TV in Nairobi. Good to see you again, my friend.
Nice to see you, my brother. Always a pleasure.
Karibu.
Asante.
Asante sana. Karibu sana. How well is the Kenyan financial markets holding up since the outbreak of the pandemic? You're on a TV show every day, so you report the market.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me here. We're actually doing considerably better than we were a few months into the COVID-19 scenario. I think we started off COVID-19, there was a lot of panic, and then investors were only buying government treasury bonds or T-bills, and we saw the highest subscription levels we've ever seen in the history of Kenya. But with the certainty that is coming around globally and locally, of course, there are spots of increased incidences of COVID-19 in different areas of the world. But in Kenya, we're getting to the place where we're like, okay, we're beginning to understand, people are getting to take personal responsibility, and the economy is raring to go, saying, okay, we have gotten through this, we have been resilient, let's move over. That has meant some positive upside for the equities, and we are seeing increased interest coming through on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Back to you, my brother.
I've always wanted to ask this question. Why is the Nairobi Securities Exchange suspending the Kenya Airways? It's not on this list of questions. I just want to ask that. And this extension for another 6 months.
So for Kenya Airways, there are a couple of things that have been happening. So we did go through a raft of privatization of nationally owned companies a while back, about 10, 20 years back, and Kenya Airways was part of this. Now we are going through a reverse privatization of existing government holding companies that are held by the government. Kenya Airways has been owned by the government, has not been profitable for the last couple of years. It owes a debt to the local entities. So what has happened, there has been a continuous financial restructure of this company. And the first thing was to change the debt that was owed to the local banks into equity. Now we're getting to the tail end of this restructuring process, where the government has said, let us create a new entity, Kenya Airways PLC. Let's move all the shareholdings of Kenya Airways, which is listed, into this company. And they are going through the regulatory as well as the policy approvals. And that's why it continues to be suspended. And the rationale for this is the government is saying, this company is not profitable at this point in time. We still see the opportunity and the upside of having a national carrier. So let's just take it and hold it as a government investment, as opposed to having stakeholders who are always having a requirement for a return on their investment, and they're not necessarily able to do that. So they are transferring the assets, the liabilities, and the equity for this company. Then the government will be able to fund it through the newly established entity. So it's more of a regulatory process, as well as approvals and administrative tasks that are ongoing.
Okay, so while all this process is going on, investors are holding on to something. What are they holding on to? What are you hearing from investors?
Honestly, they're not holding on to anything. And Kenya Airways has been one of the companies that they haven't been good to shareholders. I remember when they were doing the last rights issue, which was Project Mawingu, and this stock was trading at 100 Kenya shillings per share, and everybody kept saying that if this company raises this money and changes its strategy, because it wanted to get all these new planes, wanted to get 777, the Dreamliner, enhance its capacity, get into growth. And perhaps at that point, they were justified, because everybody was talking about the last frontier in Africa. They're talking about connectivity in Africa. So that was the rationale. So this is a company that came from trading 100 shillings and has in less than a decade come to trade at less than 1 percentage point of that. So it's been very unfortunate. And what I keep saying is that this is Africa. You can't keep sleeping on the job. When a strategy changes and when it doesn't make sense, as a shareholder, as a person who's been given the responsibility to manage assets on behalf of other people, you also have to be very strategic. And as opposed to saying it will get better, if it doesn't look like it's getting better, perhaps just exit. Because if you look at Kenya Airways as a standalone, then you could say that the equity market here is a failure. But on the flip side, in the same 10 years, we've had companies such as Safaricom that listed at 5, went to 2 shillings per share, and now are trading at 30 shillings per share and are the most profitable in the country.
Interesting. You have a new chairman of the Nairobi Bourse, Kiprono Kitoni. What's the view about him? How is he hitting the ground running?
Oh, he has hit the ground running. Kiprono Kitoni is highly regarded, well-respected businessman in Kenya. He has interest in different sectors. So I think he was certainly well-placed to be the chairman, was sitting on the board before he became the chairman. So we've seen him going out there and he's sort of building bridges between the Nairobi Securities Exchange and different organizations, whether it's the private sector, whether it is the government entity. So he's sort of going and saying, let's have a conversation. What can you do? What can we do? So it's certainly been an extremely positive reception for him. And over the last couple of weeks, he has started being vocal and sharing his dream and his vision for the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So it's certainly a positive read-through from him, because he's not just coming in as an individual who's coming into the exchange. He's coming in as an individual who has businesses in different areas of the economy and certainly appreciates the substance of having a capital market, and a thriving one at that can enable businesses, A, to raise capital, or allow for the liquidity events for existing shareholders who would like to exit from the private space and move a company to the public space.
Interesting. When I saw from the Securities and Exchange Commission or the Capital Markets Authority raising a flag over the affairs of certain investments, what more can you tell us about this? Is anybody's money on the line, on the wire?
Yes, so it's very unfortunate. This week, the Capital Markets Authority has raised a red flag and also instituted a judicial process against this fund manager. And the point of contention is this. This fund manager actually has two listed companies. There's the Saiton Asset Management, and then there is Saiton Investment Company. So it's the Capital Markets Authority is saying that it was regulating one of the entities, and one of the entities was actually operating properly. But then on the flip side, the investors are saying, we don't know the difference. Saiton came to us and they said they were regulated and we made an investment. And now the issue, the complaint is coming from investors who are saying from the tail end of 2019, cutting through into 2020, they're unable to access their funds. So it has come to the point where the regulator is saying, we're at the point where our hands are tied. We're taking this to the judiciary, and we hope the judiciary can help us resolve this issue. Now, when you look at it on a whole schematic perspective, where you look at the money market space in Kenya, and you have Saiton that has been a player and very vocal in the space. I mean, it has always had and has always been vocal in terms of the returns, perhaps not in terms of its size. So you have a situation where Saiton is not able to return investor money. You have a situation where the regulator is saying this is perhaps above our threshold and is taking it to the judiciary. So it does cause a bit of investor apathy, because everybody will be looking at their money market manager and questioning, are you okay? Am I going to get my money back? What will I do if I can't get my money back? And how will I relate? So it's certainly a very unfortunate space that we've gotten to. We hope that it doesn't get worse. We certainly hope that people get their money, because we are going through a space in the African continent in general where we must come and just focus on corporate governance and see if we can get better. So it's unfortunate that is where Saiton is today. They are at loggerheads with the Capital Markets Authority. That's the regulator. The point of concern is investors are saying we are unable to get our money, while on the flip side, Saiton is saying, for us, we're going to give you your money. There has been an asset liability mismatch, but we hope to give you your money. So I'll keep you posted on what happens once that story continues.
Keep us posted, Mbithe, and keep an eye on your own money, by the way. Don't let anyone take it. CEO Infallible Group, thank you so much. Have a great evening and a great weekend in Nairobi. My colleague at METROPOL TV. Agriculture is the next economic revolution for Nigeria. That's what we're talking about next on Arise Exchange.